Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Arun Singh Thakur, Assistant Professor, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Today, we are going to discuss about the module Contract of Indemnity, Guarantee and Agency from the paper Tourism and Hospitality Entrepreneurship and Legal Environment. So let us start. Present module focuses upon describing meaning, nature and parties to the contract of indemnity, guarantee and contract of agency. After going through this module, you will be able to understand the meaning and nature of the contract of indemnity, define the concept of contract of guarantee and agency, differentiate between guarantee and indemnity, and understand the procedure of termination of agency contract. So here we go. In law of contract, there are some special contracts which are entered into by the parties for specific purposes. These special contracts must fulfill all the essential elements of a valid contract as laid down in Indian Contract Act of 1872. But because of the specific purpose attached to them, they fall under the category of special contracts. The basic purpose of entering into these contracts is to serve the specific motive of the parties, such as protection from the loss, serving as surety, or representing others in business transactions. These contracts are called special contract of indemnity, guarantee, and agency. What is contract of indemnity? A contract by which one party promises to another to save him from loss caused to him by the conduct of promisor himself or by the conduct of any other person is called as contract of indemnity. More specifically, it has a more specific meaning to compensate another party to a contract for any loss that such other party may suffer during the performance of the contract. It is the right of an injured party to claim reimbursement for any loss, damage, or liability from any person who had such duty. Meaning of indemnify. To indemnify someone means to cover them for all their loss in a certain circumstances. Most forms of insurance except life insurance are based on the indemnity principle. This means you can only recover the replacement value of your loss. Meaning, nature and parties to the contract. Section 124 of Indian Contract Act 1872 provides that a contract will fall under the category of contract of indemnity if it contains a promise by one person to other person for saving him from the loss caused to other person either by the conduct of himself or any other person. Thus, indemnity is a kind of agreement between two persons rescuing another person from the loss. The reason for loss can be the act of the person rescuing or any third party. The parties to the indemnity contract. The parties to the contract of indemnity are: first is indemnifier, the person who promises or makes good the loss is called as indemnifier or promisor. The next is indemnity holder, the person whose loss is to be made good is called indemnified or indemnity holder, also called as promisee. In other words, we can say indemnifier protects from the loss and whose loss is protected is called as indemnity holder. Essential features of indemnity. There are two persons, the indemnifier and indemnified. There must be loss either by the promisor conduct or by any other person's conduct. We can take an example. In an agreement to sell one car by A to B after 1 month, after 2 days of such agreement, C asks A to sell the same car to him and promises to protect A from the loss caused to him for not selling the car to B. Here C is the indemnifier and A is indemnity holder and B is any other person or maybe the third party. In another example where Mr. Amit purchased demand draft of rupees 10,000 from a bank, the draft was lost in transit. Mr. Amit requested the concerned branch to issue a duplicate demand draft. He had to furnish an indemnity bond that in case of any claim on the bank, Mr. Amit, who is indemnifier, shall be liable to make good the loss suffered by the bank, indemnity holder or called as indemnified. Now we'll discuss the various kinds of indemnity contracts. They are express contract of indemnity and implied contract of indemnity. If indemnity is written or orally consented, it is called express contract of indemnity, and if it is through application of statute or law, it is called implied contract of indemnity. For example, if A express his promise orally or in written form to B to repay the loss incurred by B from a contract with C of rupees 20,000 amount, it is express contract of indemnity. We can take another example. If A and B as agent and principal and acting as an agent, if B caused any loss to A, there arises an implied indemnity to make good the loss caused to A. Further, we'll discuss indemnity holder and his rights under the Contract of Indemnity. Section 125 of Indian Contract Act talks about the rights of the indemnity holder in a contract of indemnity and make him entitled to every one damages to be paid in any suit in respect of any matter relating to indemnity contracts, 2. Costs to be paid in any such either in bringing or defending it, provided no contravention of the orders of the indemnifier is made by him. 3. Sums to be paid by him in any compromise of any such suit, provided such compromise is not contrary to the orders of the indemnifier. The third point is commencement of liability of indemnifier. As a rule, nothing has been mentioned in the law regarding the time from which the liability of indemnifier commences. There are doubts as to whether the indemnity holder can compel the indemnifier for discharging the liabilities before it is incurred by the indemnity holder. Finally, it is decided by different courts that liability of the indemnifier commences from the time of the liability of indemnity holder becoming absolute. To proceed further in the module, we'll discuss about contract of guarantee. Section 126 of Indian Contract Act 1872 defines guarantee as the contracts to perform the obligation or to discharge the liability of third party in case of its default. The person who gives the guarantee is called the surety, and the person in respect of whose default the guarantee is given is called the principal debtor, and the person to whom the guarantee is given is called the creditor. A guarantee may be either oral or written. To understand this, we can take the help of example. X takes a loan of rupees 10,000 from Y and Z promises to repay the loan in case of his default of X. It is called contract of guarantee between the parties. There are three parties to the contract of guarantee. First one is the principal debtor, the second one is the creditor, and third is the surety. In the previous example, Y is the creditor, X is the principal debtor, and Z is the surety. Guarantee contracts implies types of liabilities, namely the primary liability of the principal debtor and the secondary liability of the surety. Now we'll try to understand the essentials of contract of guarantee. They are It can be oral or written. There should be pre-existing liability in favor of the principal debtor, which means that there cannot be guarantee for future debts or the liabilities not yet incurred. Then the competency of the surety and the creditor must be there. However, the principal debtor may be minor. Any benefit to the principal debtor is sufficient consideration for the guarantee contract. Surety's consent to the contract must not be taken by fraud or any other concealment of the material fact. Let us take an example. B requests A to sell and deliver him the goods on credit. A agrees to do so, provided C will guarantee the payment of the price of the goods. C promises to guarantee the payment in consideration of A's promise to deliver the goods. This is sufficient consideration for the C's promise. Another example, A sells and delivers goods to B. C afterwards requests A to withhold to sue B for the debt for a year and promises that if he does not do so, C will pay for them in default of the payment by B. A agrees to withhold the request. This is a sufficient consideration for C's promise. Another example, A sells and delivers goods to B. C afterwards, without consideration, agrees to pay for them in default of B. This type of agreement is void. Now, types of guarantee. There are different types of guarantee. Unilateral contract of commercial credit between the wholesale and trader and a retail trader. Then bank guarantee entered into the contracts with the government. It is a guarantee taken from the banks against liabilities. Then letter of credit, an instrument written by one person to the another about giving the credit. The one who writes the letter requests the other to give credit to the bearer of the letter or in whose favor the letter is drawn. There are either general letters of credit drawn against the merchants in general or specific letter of credit drawn against a specific person with all the information enclosed. Retrospective guarantee is the guarantee given for an existing obligation or debt. Then prospective guarantee is the guarantee which is given for future obligation or debt. Then comes specific guarantee is given for a single transaction and extended only to a single debt. Continuing guarantee extends to a series of transactions and continues until it is revoked by giving due notice. What are the liabilities of surety? Liability of surety is secondary. It is coexistive with that of the principal debtor for all costs as per section 128 of the Act. That is, quantum of obligation of a surety is the same or less than, if agreed, as that of the principal debtor. Liability under continuing guarantee. Further, unless otherwise provided in the contract, it is general rule that contract of guarantee, the liability of surety is coexistive with that of the principal debtor. For example, if A and B are principal debtor and surety respectively, and A is having liability of the loan of rupees 10,000 due to C, then in absence of any contract, to the contrary, the liability of B is only up to rupees 10,000. Now, surety and his rights under the contract of guarantee. The right of the surety can be classified into three categories. The first one is against principal debtor, the second one is against co-sureties, and thirdly against creditors. So let us discuss brief about the rights of surety. First is against the principal debtor. Right of subrogation. Section 140 states, surety has all the rights of the creditor once the debt is settled. 2. Right to be indemnified. Section 141, right to be repaid with interest from the principal debtor. Then against co-sureties, right of the contribution when one surety has paid more than his share. Then right against the creditor, right to claim the securities. Then right to set off, that is adjustment of other loans. Then thirdly, right to withdraw if principal debtor was incapable. Now we'll discuss the rights of surety one by one. The first one is against principal debtor. Right of subrogation means stepping into the shoes of another, and in contract of guarantee it implies that after paying debts to creditor or after discharging the liability of the principal debtor, the surety is entitled to every right as a creditor against principal debtor. For example, if B is principal debtor and owing rupees 20,000 to C, the creditor and A is surety for the debt. On demand of the payment by, if A made the payment to C, then after making payment, A steps in to the shoes of C, can claim the amount from B. Right to be indemnified means paying for any loss caused by the wrongful conduct of the principal debtor to the surety. For example, if A as a surety has to pay an extra amount by the neglect and wrong conduct of the principal debtor, he can claim that extra amount from him. Another second point is right against creditor. Right to securities entitled the surety to every security lying with the creditor at the time of making that contract of guarantee, excluding the securities obtained afterwards by the creditor, irrespective of the fact that it was in the knowledge of the surety or not. After making payment to creditor, surety is to get those securities from the creditor. For example, pledged his gold jewelry with C at the time of making the contract, and B stood as a surety for the same. As a rule, B is entitled to that jewelry after making payment to C. The rights against co-sureties. Two or more persons standing as sureties for the same debt or obligation are called co-sureties. Against co-sureties, the surety can exercise right to contribution and right to claim share in securities. For example, A, B and C as co-sureties to D for a sum of rupees 30,000 owned by E are entitled to contribute equally to pay rupees 10,000 rupees each. Discharge of surety. When surety's liability ceases to exist, it is called discharge of surety. Under the Contract Act, the liability of the surety can be discharged by revocation in case of notice, continuing guarantee to the creditor, or by the death of the surety, or by renewal through the various variations without the consent of the surety of the guarantee contract. For example, A is surety to C for B's good performance as carpenter in his farm, and agreed that B will getting the salary of rupees 8,000 per month if, without the consent of the surety, advances any extra payment to B excluding salary, then A is discharged from the surety. The surety is discharged if, without his consent, the creditors make any alterations in the contract or release the principal debtor or makes improper dealing with the principal debtor or lose securities lying with him, the surety is also discharged from the liability if the guarantee of the surety is obtained by means of misrepresentation, concealment, or in case there is a condition of co-surety to be joined and co-surety does not join, the contract of guarantee becomes invalid and surety is discharged from the liability. Now, dear students, let us try to understand the difference between guarantee and indemnity. In case of indemnity, it is protection against loss, whereas in case of guarantee, it is a promise to discharge the liability. In case of indemnity, there are two parties. One is indemnifier and other is indemnity holder. In case of contract of guarantee, there are three parties to the contract. One is principal debtor, then creditor, and third is the surety. In case of indemnity contract, there is only one contract. In case of contract of guarantee, there are three contracts. In case of indemnity, the liability of the indemnifier is primary. In the case of guarantee, the liability of the surety is secondary. In case of indemnity, the liability should have been incurred by the indemnity holder, whereas in case of guarantee, there should be pre-existing debt of the principal debtor. In case of indemnity, insurance contracts are indemnity contracts. And lastly, in case of guarantee, bank guarantee is a kind of guarantee or contract. Now, further we'll discuss the meaning, nature and parties to the contract of agency. Section 182 of Indian Contract Act defines agency as the relationship between two persons acting as representative of one through another. The person representing is agent and the person so represented is the principal. For example, A is appointed by B to represent him in all his business dealings with the third party. Here, A is agent and B is principal. The parties to the contract of agency are principal and the agent. The principal must be competent to contract. That is, he must be major and of sound mind, and an agent may or may not be competent to contract. Thus, a minor can be an agent. For agency, no consideration is required. The point number 2 says modes of creation of agency. Agency can come into existence either by express agreement, that is orally, or in written form, power of attorney form, or in the implied form, or by the operation of law, that is by ratification, estoppels, or holding out. Now we'll describe the modes of creation of agency. Agency by express agreement. A contract may be made by either oral or written agreement. The usual form of written contract of agency is power of attorney. The other mode is agency by implied agreement. When from the conduct of the parties it appears that a person is acting as an agent, then an agency arises impliedly. Agency by estoppel, where a person by his words or conduct has willfully led another person to believe that certain set of circumstances, facts exist, and that other person has acted on that belief, then he is stopped from denying the truth of such statements subsequently. Another type is agency by holding out. If a person by his conduct or statement leads another person to believe that a certain person is agent, then he is stopped from saying that such person is not his agent. Then another is agency by necessity. A person who has been entrusted with another's property may have to incur unauthorized expenses to protect or preserve it. Then the third mode of creation of agency is agency by ratification. It is a case where a person having no authority purports to act as an agent and the principal is not bound by it. However, if the principal ratifies the same, the contract is valid and the principal becomes liable for the same. For example, if A is in habit of selling goods through B in absence of any express contract, to that effect it is called implied creation of agency. In partnership, every partner is agent of the firm as well as other parties. Thereby, every partner of the firm can bind the firm as well as other partners by their activities. Ratification is subsequent approval or adoption of unauthorized act done by earlier by the agent and subsequently approved or adopted by the principal, provided the agent was duly appointed and expressly acting as an agent for the principal at the time of the contract. Ratification can be expressed or implied. To understand this, we can take one example. A, as an agent, purchased a car without the authority of B, and later on B adopts that purchase. It is express ratification. Another example, if A as an agent advanced loan to B without C consent and later on C as a principal accepts interest of that loan, it is implied ratification. Effect of the ratification is always retrospective and date back to the time when the original contract was made by the agent and not from the date of the principal's ratification. For example, A appointed B as his agent on 3 March 2017 to buy a car not exceeding 1 lakh rupee. On 6 March, B ordered a car from Maruti Limited costing rupees 1,35,000, representing them to be A's agent, and bought a car on his behalf. On the 12th March, Maruti Limited delivered the car to A. Now, if A approved the transaction on 12th March, its agency by ratification effective from 6th March onwards. Sometimes agency is also created by necessity, wherein one person has to act as agent to the other. For example, A is transporting milk of B by truck, and because of the road jam, it got stuck. Now, to prevent milk from getting decayed, A has to sell that milk in the nearby locality. It's agency by necessity, where one person either by conduct or otherwise represent himself to be acting on behalf of other and that other person do not object that conduct, it is called agency by estoppels. For example, if B represent him to be acting on behalf of A in presence of A and it's not rebutted by A, the implied appointment of agent is called agency by holding out, in which principal is said to hold out a person as his agent with such authority, inducing the third party to believe that the person representing the principal is his agent. For example, B is A's servant and in the habit of purchasing goods from C on behalf of A. Such purchase is never rejected by A. If on one occasion B purchased goods without being ordered by A from C, it's agency by holding out and has to pay for those goods by A. Who is sub-agent? A person employed by and acting under the control of the original agent in the business of agency. For example, A appoints B as agent and B appoints C as sub-agent. Then substituted agent. He is the agent of the principal appointed through the efforts of the agent. For example, A appoints B as agent and asks him to find out suitable person for selling his house, and B recommends the name of C as substituted agent. Now friends, will describe the kinds of an agent. The agents are classified either on the nature of their authority delegated by principal or on the nature of the work done by them. They are general and specified agents or agents working as factors, brokers and auctioneers, etc. The kinds on the nature of the authority. There are general agents and specific agents. And on the basis of nature of the work, the agents are brokers who involved in sale purchase of goods not in his possession on behalf of the principal with third person, and the factors, the mercantile agent with possession of the goods for sale. Then del credere agents, a mercantile agent on payment of some extra commission as del credere commission. Auctioneers sell goods to other property by auction are the types. Now we'll discuss the various rights of agents and duties in the contract of agency. The rights and duties of agents in a contract of agency are corresponding to each other, and agent's right and principal's duties or vice versa. Rights of agent oblique duties of principal. Right to retain out of any sums received on account of the principal in the business of agency the money due to him by principal or the amount payable to principal. Another right is to claim remuneration if provided by any special contract for the payment become due on the performance or the completion of any act assigned to the agent. The another one is right to be indemnified against all the consequences of all lawful acts done in exercise of the authority. Another one says right of lien on goods, paper or other property of the principal in possession till the payment of the amount due to whom. Then right to get compensation for any injury caused by the principal's neglect or want of skill. What are the duties of agents? The first is agent should not delegate his duties to the other person, but sometimes it is allowed to appoint sub-agent or the substituted agent. Then agent should follow the principal's direction and conduct the business in his principal as per his directions. If there is no such direction, then agent should act as per the custom of the business, and in any case complicated situation arise, then agent should communicate that situation to the principal for his advice. Then third is agent should take due care and act with reasonable diligence in the matters of agency so as not to enter into any transaction in his own name to make secret profits by using name of principal. And fourthly, agent should safeguard the property of principal on happening of events like death of principal, insolvency of the principal, etc. And next is agent should render proper account of his principal. Principal and agent's relation with third person. When agent act on behalf of the principal, he creates a relationship with principal and the third person, thereby binding the principal towards the third person. It is presumed that the principal entering himself into the contract. What are principal and his liability? The principal's liability arises for the act of the agent in following situations. First, agent exceeding authority given by the principal, bound for the authorized part. Another one, bound by any notice to the agent on behalf of the principal that is given or obtained in the course of the business transaction by him for the principal. Then for the agent's fraud, misrepresentation and torts done while acting in course of the principal business. The personal liability of the agent. Agent is presumed to have consented to be personally liable if following situations arose while acting for foreign principal residing abroad. Second, while acting for undisclosed principal. Thirdly, while acting for principal not into existence or where the principal is incompetent to contract and cannot be sued. In case of minor, of promoters of the company not in existence. And fourthly, the D part is agency coupled with interest, own rights and liabilities are attached to the agency. Now, what is the procedure for termination of agency contract? An agency can be terminated either by operation of law or by the act of the parties. Under following circumstances, agency can be terminated by the operation of law. When agency is formed for a particular period, the expiry of that period operates as termination of agency. Second, agency entered into for a particular objective or for particular venture. After completion of that venture, agency is terminated. Thirdly, in case of death or lunacy of the principal or the agent, terminates the agency. And fourthly, principal becoming insolvent and foregoes capacity to contract, terminates the agency. The next procedure is destruction of the subject matter of the contract, terminates the agency. Then principal becoming enemy, alien in event of war between the countries, agency contract gets terminated. In case main agency extinction operates as termination of sub-agency. Then by giving notice to principal, it can also be terminated by mutual understanding between principal and the agent. So the students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. The contracts of indemnity and guarantee deals with class of cases where the protection is pre-arranged for the loss caused by the act of the parties to the contract or any third person, or in case of default of one of them. The agency contracts deal with the case where one party agree to be represented by the other in all his business dealings with the outside world. The relationship of principal and agent is determined by the fact agent is having the authority to bind the principal and the third person. Thank you very much.